The 1906 White Sox, the hitless wonders of the American League, were not supposed to win the series. By most accounts they were no match for the Cubs, who were considered and would go down as one of the greatest teams in the history of the league. In fact, the only journalist who gave them a chance was Hugh Fullerton, of the Chicago Tribune. Prior to the series, he predicted a White Sox triumph, and had to beg his disbelieving boss into printing it after it was initially edited out. The White Sox, under the tutelage of their player-manager, Fielder Jones, relied primarily on their pitching. In fact, their hitting woes were so bad, Fielder Jones declared that any hitter that batted over .250 would have his feet kissed by the pitching staff. Only 3 hitters, Frank Isbell, veteran switch-hitting shortstop, George Davis and first baseman, Jiggs Donahue received the honor. To add insult to injury, George Davis was injured and was replaced for the second game in a row by George Rye, the White Sox utility fielder. The Cubs, for their part, were the product of brilliant leadership by Frank Chance. A boxer-turned-ball player, Chance was promoted from within the organization and quickly built a great team around him. In the off-season, he acquired third baseman Harry Steinfeld from Cincinnati, as well as Jack Pfister and Jimmy Sheckard. Then, during the season, he dealt for Orville Overall and Jack Taylor. Most importantly, Chance trusted his players and told them to play based on their intuitions, rather than waiting for his next signal. After dropping Game 1 to the White Sox, the Cubs' intuitions must have told them that they need to play a more aggressive game, both at the plate and on the base paths. Frank Chance sent Ed Rulbach to the mound, a budding 2-year player with 37 wins under his belt. The White Sox countered with Doc White, a 6-year veteran who just had a career year, and a lifetime record of 98 wins. The game took place on October 10, around 2 p.m., in Southside Park, with 12,595 in attendance. Silk O'Laughlin was the home plate umpire, Jim Johnstone was at first base. The game started out quietly, with both pitchers retiring the side in order in the first. Doc White struck out Frank Chance in the top of the second, but then allowed back-to-back singles to Harry Steinfeld and Joe Tinker. Johnny Evers hit a grounder to second. Frank Isbell tried to double up Evers, but threw away the ball, allowing Steinfeld to score from second and the runners to advance to second and third. Doc White walked Johnny Kling to set up the double play. Ed Rulbach would not oblige, bunting the ball to the right side of the infield. Frank Isbell fielded the ball and threw him out at first, but Joe Tinker scored on the sacrifice. With runners on second and third, Solly Hoffman hit another infield single. Johnny Evers scored on the play. Johnny Kling, anticipating the throw to first, headed for home as well, but was thrown out by Jiggs Donahue. The Cubs jumped out to a quick lead. There was more trouble in the third for Doc White. With 2 outs, Frank Chance attempted to steal second. Billy Sullivan missed the second baseman and threw the ball into center field, allowing Frank Chance to advance to third. Harry Steinfeld proceeded to hit a single to left, knocking in Chance. Steinfeld later got thrown out trying to steal second as well. This would be the end of the day for Doc White, who would be replaced by a pinch hitter, Babe Town, in the bottom of the third. Meanwhile, Ed Rulbach was keeping the White Sox at bay successfully, retiring 7 of the first 10 batters by ground out and allowing just 1 walk in the second. They came close to scoring in the fourth. Fielder Jones reached base on an error and advanced to third on a ground out by Frank Isbell, but he was thrown out at home by Jimmy Sheckard after George Rye flew out to left. Frank Owen, Doc White's replacement, had a rough fourth inning,
allowing a walk to Joe Tinker and a double to Johnny Kling. But, with 1 out and runners on second and third, he struck out Ed Rulbach and got Solly Hoffman to line out to left. He then settled down in the 5th, retiring the side in order. In the bottom of the 5th, the White Sox finally got to Rulbach. Jiggs Donahue drew a walk. Patsy Doherty grounded into a fielder's choice and replaced Donahue at first. With Billy Sullivan at bat, Ed Rulebach threw a wild pitch, allowing Doherty to advance to second. Billy Sullivan would foul out, but Lee Tannehill, the next batter, hit a grounder to short. Joe Tinker would commit a fielding error, allowing Patsy Doherty to score from second. Frank Owen would fly out to end the inning, but the White Sox were on the scoreboard. Despite the momentary hiccup, Ed Rulebach maintained a no-hitter against the White Sox. The Cubs quickly retaliated in the top of the sixth. With one out, Joe Tinker and Johnny Evers attempted a double steal. Billy Sullivan threw the ball to third, and once again missed his mark, committing his second error of the game. Joe Tinker scored on the play. Johnny Evers wound up on third. Johnny Kling struck out and Ed Rulebach grounded out to third, but the Cubs regained their 4-run differential. Ed Rulebach had walked 4 batters through 6 innings of work, but otherwise maintained a no-hitter. After walking George Rahi to start the bottom of the 7th, Rulebach lost the no-hitter on a single by Jiggs Donahue. But he retired the next 3 batters, including a strikeout to Billy Sullivan, and kept the White Sox from scoring. The Cubs' offense meanwhile continued to be unrelenting. Frank Chance led off the top of the 8th with an infield single, was bunted over to second by Harry Steinfeld, then stole third. Joe Tinker knocked him in with a single. Tinker then stole second. A Johnny Evers groundout helped Tinker advance to third. With Johnny Kling at bat, Frank Owen threw a wild pitch. Not only did Evers score on the play, but Kling managed to advance to second. Ed Rulebach grounded out to end a very messy inning for the White Sox. The Cubs attacked Frank Owen the same way in the 9th. Solly Hoffman drew a leadoff walk. Jimmy Schkard bunted him over to second. Hoffman then stole third. But neither Frank Schulte nor Frank Chance could knock him in this time. George Rahi led off the bottom of the 9th by getting hit by a pitch. Jiggs Donahue grounded into a double play. Patsy Doherty drew his second walk of the game. But it is all for naught, as Billy Sullivan flew out to center. The Cubs outplayed the Sox. 7 of the 9 Cub batters had at least 1 hit, the exceptions being Jimmy Scheckards and Ed Rulebach. Of the 10 hits, only 1 was an extra base hit. The Cubs also stole 6 bases and were thrown out only twice. Ed Rulebach gave up 6 walks, but only 1 hit, carrying his no-hitter into the 7th. The White Sox, meanwhile, had 3 errors, each leading to a run. Doc White gave up 4 runs, though none of them were earned. Frank Owen gave up 3 runs, 2 earned. Simply put, Chicago Cubs blew out the White Sox, evening the series at 1 game apiece.